The opening prayer will be given by Councilman Paul Riddick, and then please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for all the persons here. We thank you for their desire to participate, to give us direction in terms of spending their tax dollars. We ask you to give us the ability to do this job in a fair and just manner. These and all the blessings we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The clerk will please call the roll.
Mr. Burford?
Here.
Mr. Protogiru?
Here.
Mr. Riddick?
Here.
Mr. Smeagol?
Here.
Dr. Whibley?
Here.
Mr. Wynn?
Here.
Mr. Frame?
Here. Again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you can hear me. They said this microphone wasn't working very well, but I want to welcome you and thank you for coming out this evening. We want to hear all of your comments about the proposed budget that the manager has presented to the city and to the city council for fiscal year 2013. We really want to have a good public hearing. We want you to help us do that, if you will. As we go through the hearing, what I will do is I'll call one name. Then I'm going to call a second name. The first name I call, if you'll come to the podium, please identify yourself for the record. Give us your full name and your present home address. And then we would like you to limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Okay? And when I call the person who I call the second name, if you'll come up front here in one of these seats, take a seat. And so you'll be ready to move to the podium when I call you the second time, and then I'll call somebody else. And that way we won't have to wait as long for people to get out of chairs and walk down the aisles and that sort of thing. And you'll be ready. You'll know when you're going to be called, and you'll have your thoughts composed. A couple of other things. We would like you, and we know you will, respect everyone who has something to say this evening. We would like you to keep comments to a minimum, if at all. Please, no booing, no comments about what you like. No, to the extent that you want to applaud, just if you'll just keep it down so we can keep having an orderly, civil meeting. Everybody's opinion is going to be respected here, regardless of what they say, whether you agree with it or not. And we're going to treat everybody with a lot of respect. I have about 25 names or so up here. Somebody's got to go first. Somebody's got to go last. It's not like we're deciding which issues we're going to take last or not, or anything like that. So, if you'll bear with us, we'll try to move through tonight's public hearing. So the first person, is Dr. Houston here yet?
He's in the building, but the board is meeting, and I just left the meeting, so he'll be here any minute. You may want to just
or
put him
Michael Spencer, they're having the same issue? Okay. Michael Spencer, and then he will be followed by Tom Luckman.
Frame, I'm prepared to take all 6 minutes.
No, 3's fine.
Oh, okay. Mayor Frame, Vice Mayor Burford, members of the City Council, Mr. Jones, good evening. Appreciate this opportunity to address you tonight. I'd like to extend my congratulations to Councilpersons Wynn and Williams on their re-election to their respective seats. For the past 2 years, Norfolk Schools has dealt with budget cuts and funding from the state and federal sources that equaled approximately $60 million. The effect of these cuts translated into the elimination of about 600 positions, some of them in our classrooms. They reduced programs and services that benefited our children, and a decrease in the availability of support for our schools and central administration. In addition, school employees have faced their awesome responsibility of teaching our children for the past 4 years with diminishing incomes. This year, we began the budget process with the knowledge that schools once again would be the target of reductions to the tune of about $15 million. Throughout this process, we have had a collegial and supportive relationship with the city manager and his staff. This relationship has allowed us to have very frank and open conversations about the challenges facing the city and the schools, and to find solutions that support the entire community. And Mr. Jones, I want to thank you both for your friendship and your support in this process. The school administration aimed to bring both a realistic and honest budget to the city that addressed our needs and challenges. The proposed budget included in the city manager's recommendations reflect our best effort to provide a bottom line cost to operate a quality school system for our children in the upcoming year. In this budget, we're able to support the efforts necessary to continue success for our children. In addition, this budget will not require raising pupil-teacher ratios. It will provide remediation services for children needing additional help. It will provide opportunities for our gifted children to excel, and it will provide a rich support system for children with disabilities in an effort to level the learning field for all children. Throughout this process, we have tried to listen to parents and others in the community about the programs that are important, and this budget will preserve those programs, including, chief among those, the specialty programs at the elementary, middle, and high school, our award-winning art music programs, the athletic programs that keep our children positively engaged, and it will keep our commitment to early childhood education. Most notable is the proposal that benefits our teachers and other employees. We recognize that great schools have great teachers, and for the first time in 4 years, we're providing a modest pay raise for those dedicated professionals, while at the same time we're addressing the state-mandated changes to VRS and inevitable cost changes to the healthcare system. We also acknowledge gratefully the inclusion of funds by the city for the planning of the Norfolk Polytechnic High School. As I conclude my remarks, just two cautionary notes, and they are, in order to meet these positive outcomes, Norfolk Public Schools moves forward with very little flexibility in its budget to meet any unexpected needs. Secondly, while there's some indicators that would suggest that the economy overall is improving, we believe that we're still going to have a couple of challenging years in funding as the state continues to shift the burden of public education from the state to the locality. As the city begins to realize increased revenues as the economy upticks, we respectfully request that you make your first priority investment in our schools. Money spent for our children is money spent for a better future. We commit as a staff to ensuring that every dollar spent towards education is for quality programs, safe, secure environments, and under the direction of well-trained and qualified teachers and other staff. We have 33,000 reasons to be the best school system we can be. Every day they show up at our door ready to learn, excited about their future, and wanting to be successful. Mayor, the employees of Norfolk Public Schools are committed to being good stewards to those wishes and dreams. We thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Tom Luckman, followed by Dr. Kirk Houston.
Honorable Mayor, members of council, Mr. Jones, Mr. Pisco, Mr. Doherty. My name is Tom Luckman. I'm here to represent the City Norfolk Retirees Association, more than 3,300 current in-pay status. First, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak, to all the decision makers, and second, we appreciate the city manager's attempt to include retirees in this budget cycle. Getting straight to the point, city retirees in both the general and public safety retirement plans annually suffer significant loss in purchasing power. This is clearly demonstrated as measured by the various indices in the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The result is inflation-derived COLA increases to Social Security, other federal retirement programs, and the Commonwealth of Virginia's own Virginia retirement system. The system applies to most cities in the Commonwealth and all school systems. We city retirees find it very difficult to understand why Norfolk Public Schools and our constitutional brethren, the sheriff, the commissioner of revenue, the Commonwealth attorney, the treasurer, and clerk of the court, receive city funding either directly or indirectly for automatic COLAs, and city retirees do not, even if it's eventually under the city's current ad hoc system. In the last 5 years alone, we had suffered in the neighborhood of a 10% loss in purchasing power as compared to these other retirement systems. The older a retiree is, the greater the loss, and in some cases, it's now well over 30%. You need to know the details. To that extent, the city manager has promised, he has promised the Retirement Association to task someone within the administration to compile the appropriate detailed data for next year's deliberations and to meet with us prior to the budget being formulated. I would hope you would receive a briefing and weigh in on your retiree COLA expectations before the budget is presented in stone, so to speak. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Tom. Dr. Kirk Houston, followed by Elizabeth Woodard.
Good evening, Mayor Frame, Vice Mayor Burford, members of City Council, and City Manager Jones. Thank you for receiving our comments tonight on the City of Norfolk's 2013 budget. I would like to recognize other school board members that are present before I proceed with my comments. I know that Dr. Brad Robinson, Dr. Warren Stewart, Dr. Linda Horsey, and Dr. Linda McClooney are present tonight. We are grateful and relieved that the city manager has proposed additional local funding for Norfolk Public Schools. This is a sound investment in our community's future. The city manager's proposal moves us in the right direction toward high-quality schools that contribute to our quality of life in Norfolk. During the budget development process last fall, the school board set forth 4 goals. Goal number 1 was to protect core instruction, which is our primary mission, as well as our specialty programs. Goal number 2 was to attract and retain highly qualified staff. 3 was to look for efficiencies to create capacity. And 4 was to improve the quality of education in an equitable manner across the school division. We hope that you will agree that the budget request submitted by the board addresses all 4 of these goals. It is especially heartening that our hardworking teachers and staff members who have been without a salary increase for 4 years can now expect at least a modest increase in salary. Our schools are unquestionably an economic driver now and for the years to come. If the city of Norfolk is to be a thriving, flourishing city, we must produce highly educated young men and women who are prepared through high rigor at international standards and are ready for post-secondary education or the workforce. As you are aware, we are currently aggressively planning for the realization of a comprehensive career and technical education high school. This school will enable us to provide multiple opportunities in the areas of career and college readiness. But we cannot accomplish this alone. We need your support. We are asking that you continue to consider additional revenue that can be provided to our schools. Our challenges will not end with your adoption of a final budget for fiscal year 2013. We have pressing needs in the areas of support for middle school students in the area of reading, improvement in our technology infrastructure, and deferred maintenance needs in our buildings. As you finalize the city's budget, please consider these urgent needs that have significant impact on the quality of education we are able to provide our children. We will have to work together to protect our investment because we believe the realignment of state resources for public education will continue. The school board and administration are preparing for this with evaluations of programs for effectiveness and efficiency. We will continue to keep the lines of communication open with you, our city leaders. Thank you for your commitment to our school division and the city of Norfolk.
Thank you, Dr. Houston. Thank you. Elizabeth Woodard, followed by Bill Young.
Good evening, and thank you for your time. My name is Elizabeth Woodard. I'm the co-president of the Friends of the Norfolk Public Library. The new Slover Memorial Library has broken ground, and the process of raising money and awareness continues. The Friends of the Norfolk Public Library want to thank you for your support, your encouragement, and your focus in that particular endeavor. We would also like to ask that you break new ground in the area of funding for the library so that it can once again open each and every day. Literacy isn't an unimportant thing, and it's not a part-time effort. The library is not a sometime need. Information literacy builds a citizenry that can use what they have and what they learn to create new ideas. Those ideas could bring about advances that change our world. Innovation and inspiration simply can't be put on hold 2 days a week. We would like to encourage you to break new ground in your funding support for a robust collection and ebooks. Your friends, the Friends of the Library, in fact, the Norfolk's reading public demand that the library service their need for materials that can be downloaded and mobile for anytime, anywhere availability. Electronic books for download on mobile devices, that's an advance that is currently changing the world. Friends are supporting this, and we hope that you will too. And we ask you to please focus a little inspiration and funding on the facilities that we already have conveniently located in our branches. Remember that these are the community opportunities for every Norfolk citizen to have equal access, safe, clean, and comfortable environments with sufficient professional staff to make every experience there fruitful. Community opportunities to gather together, to search for enlightenment, to enjoy a good book. Those make the world change. And finally, Norfolk's public libraries already have wonderful reading programs for readiness for children and ever more comfortable, safe facilities called Kid Zones. The Friends will continue to do their small part to help fund summer reading programs for children, as well as our own Tales to Tales event that brings dogs into the library for children to read with. We appreciate and hope that we can count on your continued support in these efforts as Norfolk parents try to nurture the love of reading as well as the habit and practice of lifelong learning. Those parents are hopeful that their children will be the ones to change the world. We thank you for your time and ask for your support in libraries opening every day, robust collections, the new downtown library, as well as updated branches and continued emphasis on early literacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Young, followed by Barry Bishop.
Good evening. I'm Bill Young. I'm the Chief Development Officer at 4Kids and speaking on behalf of Thaler McCormick. She regrets that she's not able to be here tonight. She certainly congratulates Councilman Wynn and Councilwoman Williams. 4Kids currently assists approximately 150 homeless families and 300 children each day in Hampton Roads, over half of which are from the city of Norfolk. We provide shelter, educational services, and clinical services tailored to the needs of each family that we serve. We are deeply concerned that critical resources to serve these families are shifting dramatically at this very moment. The last of the $1.5 million of the Drag Us Families Initiative given to the cities of Norfolk, Chesapeake, and Virginia Beach will be spent by May 30th. We're in the last days of the stimulus-funded Homeless Prevention and Rapid Rehousing Program, known as HPRP, and these funding streams built Norfolk's homelessness prevention programs for families, moving assistance for families from emergency shelters to lower-cost prevention and rapid rehousing models. The need for shelter has been and continues to be great. It is important the Council understand that even with the previously mentioned funding last year, Norfolk shelters remained in constant overflow, with families sleeping on the floors of our shelters at night and camping in the lobbies of the Department of Human Services during the day. So in the fiscal year 12, ending June 30, the system was swamped. With the loss of Drag Us funding and the homeless prevention and rapid rehousing funds in fiscal year 13, a significant investment must be made by the city to prevent real harm to the families, the most fragile residents of this city. When children are not sheltered, they live in unsafe environments without plumbing and heat. They're constantly moving from family members to friends to hotels and back again. They witness domestic violence, and they're often victims of abuse. They are sick at increased rates, they fall behind in school, they fill our emergency rooms, and ultimately, without intervention, many will end up homeless themselves as adults or worse, in prison. We should not allow this to happen in Norfolk, and we made a commitment that it would not years ago. With wise planning and coordination between nonprofit partners, the private sector, and the public sector, ending family homelessness remains an attainable goal in Norfolk. 4Kids provides about $21 for every dollar of general funds that we receive from the city of Norfolk. We know that this community cares deeply about children slipping into homelessness, and we hope that Norfolk's leadership does as well and will make the necessary investments in the fiscal year 13 budget to end homelessness for our families. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Bishop, followed by Thomas Calhoun.
Good evening. I'm Barry Bishop, the Executive Vice President of the Greater Norfolk Corporation. I'm here tonight representing the Polytechnic High School Task Force, a partnership between Norfolk Public Schools and the business, medical, and higher education communities to express our thanks and strong support for the inclusion of $500,000 in planning money in the manager's budget proposal for a Polytechnic high school in our city. A high-quality, full-time Polytechnic high school is a proven model that can and will increase student engagement and motivation, and in so doing, reduce the dropout rate, increase on-time graduation, strengthen achievement, and better prepare young people in Norfolk for success in post-secondary education and the workplace. It not only complements the city's Employ Norfolk initiative, it's an essential component of it and offers the real promise to be a model for the region and the entire Commonwealth for that matter. We look forward to working with the city to make a full-time, high-quality Polytechnic high school a reality in Norfolk. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Calhoun. followed by Mel Price.
Good evening. Mayor Frame, council members, my name is Thomas Calhoun. I am president of the Norfolk Federation of Teachers and a resident of Elizabeth Park in Norfolk, Virginia. I'm here tonight to ask you to do two things. I'm not here for the General Assembly, for the City Council, School Board, NFT, EAN, NPS, teachers, custodians, bus drivers, secretaries. I'm here tonight for the children, period. First, I'd like to ask you to fully fund the budget that was turned into you by the school board. As a part of that committee, I can assure you, there were some long hours, some heart-wrenching moments, and every dime that they're asking you for, we need. Secondly, I would like to ask you to fulfill your obligation to our children. This obligation may call for you at times to do more than the school board asks you. It may cause you to give more money than they actually ask you for. It is the obligation of the state and the city and localities to educate our children. If you see that we need something for our children's education, give it to them. Period. It may not always be money. If you want our children in Norfolk to have a world-class education, you cannot say, I have fulfilled my obligation because I gave the school board everything they asked for. We all live here. We all see things. You see things all around the city. You improve them when you see them. Anything that you see that our children need, can you please just do it? Thank you.
Thank you. Mel Price, followed by Joan Shifflett.
So Mel Price here with the Norfolk Public Library Board of Trustees. So thank you, Mayor Frame, members of council, Mr. Jones. On behalf of the Norfolk Public Library Board of Trustees, thank you for your support of the library system in the fiscal year 2013 budget. We've seen a huge surge of activity in the last few years. The entire library system is staying busy. We're staying relevant in today's society by providing everyone the opportunity to access information that they need. With ever-changing needs and support, NPL has created an outstanding volunteer program, which I spoke to you about a little bit last month, to maintain the functions of the library system. In 2011, we had over 10,000 recorded volunteer hours and more than 300 active volunteers throughout the system. Daily, these volunteers work with library staff, assisting patrons as computer aides, library aides, shelving books, materials, and maintaining the kids' zones. Volunteers also help at outreach events such as the summer reading program. While volunteers cannot replace staff, they do help the Norfolk Public Libraries open their doors and reach out to the local community. Again, thank you for your support of Norfolk Public Libraries, and in the future, reiterating what Elizabeth said, we look forward to working with you on three initiatives in particular. Number one, look for a way to fund the reopening of the branch libraries on Mondays. The second one is to continue to strengthen the support of our book budget so that new books, ebooks, and other library materials can be purchased for use by the entire community. And the third one is to continue making the necessary ongoing physical improvements and repairs to our neighborhood branches in order to provide the citizens of Norfolk well-maintained and comfortable community engagement spaces. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan Shifflett, followed by Carletta Williams.
Good evening, Mayor Frame and City Council members. My name is Joan Shifflett. I reside at 3465 Thurston Street in the great city of Norfolk for over 40 years. I won't tell you how many, but I also serve on the executive board of the Norfolk Federation of Teachers. I'd like to thank you for funding our school budget this year, but I'm asking that you find some more money for Norfolk Public Schools. Every school year, there's never enough textbooks, workbooks, or supplies for the students, and I think this is a shame. We need to have adequate supplies so that we're able to have what is needed to teach and for our children to have what is needed to learn. Every year after winter break, there's a desperate need for school supplies, such as pencils, papers, crayons, glue, pens, coloring pencils, markers, and the list goes on. The teachers and staff in Norfolk Public School pay hundreds of dollars of their own money to try to meet the supply needs, and this is hard. I'm a paraprofessional, and I know for a fact that I spend close to $200 a year buying school supplies. I look for the school supplies to go on sale. I buy and I fill a box I have at home. I hand the supplies out over the course of the year to the teachers and the students. My box supply is empty and has been for 4 months. It makes me sad that city councils were willing to give tax breaks to businesses and spend money on renovating Waterside, and yet Norfolk Public Schools are still in need of so much more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams, Carlotta Williams, followed by Christina Haven, please.
Good evening, Mayor Fram, members of council, city manager. My name is Charlotta Williams.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. And I serve as the vice president of the EAN, the Education Association of Norfolk, and a member of the board of directors of the VEA, the Virginia Education Association. By the way, the address is for EAN is 700 Monticello Avenue, Norfolk, Virginia, 23464. The bedrock of any great civilization is education. Without educators, none of us would be here where we are today. At the local, state, and federal levels of government, education is often highly touted as being important. However, in reality, the opposite is true. So why does it appear as though educating our students is at the bottom of the priority list? In order to educate the students, we need funds. It is amazing that there is $33 million to fund light rail, and that doesn't include the cost, overage, or waste, yet there is such a small amount to fund education. There seems to be $3 million for a 4,000 square foot train station to accommodate a new Amtrak Express train that will be located by Harbor Park, and yet there is such a small amount to fund education. Now it seems that Waterside needs to be revitalized, and so a proposal from a Baltimore-based company offers a $30 million renovation to include a conference center. Waterside will definitely be revitalized and a conference center added. Sadly, even more funds will be diverted away from education. So what are we to make of what is happening in Norfolk? What in the world is going on? The citizens of Norfolk elect city council members with the expectation that the council members will have the best interest of the educational system in mind, but actions speak louder than words. Norfolk Public Schools says that they are nationally recognized, globally competitive, but those are just empty words without proper funds to make it happen. Children are our nation's future. Good education is not cheap, but ignorance costs far more. Public education is a worthy investment for public funds. We can invest now, or we can pay later. We are asking you to make some hard decisions, dig deep, and fully fund Norfolk Public Schools budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine DeHaven. Hope I got that right. And followed by Mark Todd.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Christine DeHaven, and I've been a resident of Norfolk for 38 years. I currently live at 2626 Argonne Avenue, and I come to you tonight to plead for you to give more money to Norfolk Public Schools. Our schools are failing. This is not a perception, this is reality. My son has been in Norfolk Public Schools since the age of 2. He is now 9 years old and is in the 2nd grade. My son has special needs. Since starting kindergarten, my son has been in 3 different schools. My son's first kindergarten teacher actually told me she didn't have time to teach my son. The schools don't have enough resources as of now to help support children and special education programs in Norfolk. Now the school board's budget that was voted for by all except one will take away even more support for our children in special education classes. We are losing 23 teacher assistants and 1 central office position, and we will be losing 33 early literacy teachers. It kills me that when we have to make cuts, the first place we start is where the help is most needed. The current budget also calls for a loss of 53 contract teaching positions. Children are our future. I'm very scared to see where Norfolk will be in 20 years if we continue to cut funding to our schools. We have one of the worst dropout rates. Could it be because our city doesn't believe enough in our schools to provide them with the funding necessary to teach and engage our children to believe in themselves? Well, I'm here tonight to tell the city my son will get a free and appropriate education from Norfolk Public School. I had to file a state complaint this year with the Virginia Department of Education, and guess what? Norfolk was found to be not in compliance with my son's IEP. Now let's fast forward to next school year with even less support. What are the odds that special needs children will get the support they needed for their free and appropriate education? Well, that answer will rely on you, the city council, and the mayor. Does all really mean all, or is that just more words with no meaning? I will end my statement today to say it would be easy for me and my son to just move to Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, or even, yes, Portsmouth to get a better education, but I'm choosing to stay and to be a part of making it better for all. But I can't do it by myself. I'm happy City Manager Marcus Jones is recommending the city fully fund the school board budget, but can we really say it's fully funded when we are cutting teachers and teacher assistants?
Mark Todd, followed by Dion Latham.
Mark Todd, 5314 Rolfe Avenue. Good evening, City Council members. A group of Norfolk City school parents, small business owners, civic and faith community leaders, and concerned taxpayers have organized a coalition to support Norfolk's public schools. Our mission is to strengthen Norfolk Public Schools so that all NPS graduates will be prepared to succeed in higher education and work. With vibrant, well-funded schools, we will keep and attract strong families and quality business to our city. We are Norfolk Gaines, and I am Mark Todd, a parent of 2 students in Norfolk City Public Schools and a member of Norfolk Gaines. As we watch our sister cities wrestle with their education shortfalls and battle over dollars, we realize that Norfolk is ahead of the game. We've had this discussion before. We know what comes from eliminating teachers, increasing class sizes, eliminating resource teachers, and what stagnant salaries can do to morale. We thank you for considering NPS's funding that is greater than the school board request, but the proposed school board budget eliminates 135 teacher positions. It does not reduce class sizes, and it does not provide our students with the resources they need to succeed. The modest raise proposed for our teachers does not come close to meeting the increased cost of living in Hampton Roads. It helps, but it's not enough. We are here tonight to recommend that we fast-track a strategy towards a dedicated funding stream for our schools. Moving forward into financial year 2014, we recommend that you consider maintaining real estate revenues at their current levels. Take the differences between that level and falling real estate assessments and dedicate it to the operating budget and the development of innovative programs at NPS. Meanwhile, continue your financial year 2013 capital investments towards school construction and renovation. When the investment in NPS takes hold and the housing market recovers, we recommend you capture a portion of the increased value and dedicate it towards a sustained revenue stream for NPS that represents the true needs of the school district. A dedicated funding stream that restores literacy teachers, reduces class size, retains qualified and experienced teachers, provides opportunities for special programs to continue and expand, and establishes a plan to replace dilapidated infrastructure. We believe it is critical we move from annual debates about incremental change and boldly leverage this year's budget towards sustained and dedicated funding moving forward. Far too often the challenges facing NPS are categorized as PR issues. That is simply not the case. These challenges are real and they urgently need your attention. Excellent schools will attract people and businesses to Norfolk. They will provide an educated workforce and they will be the economic engine driving Norfolk into the future. Prioritizing Norfolk schools is a strategic investment toward a healthy Norfolk with a thriving economic base. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Latham, followed by Kelly Gonzalez.
Good evening, council members. My name is Dion Latham, and I live at 1374 Roberts Road, Norfolk, Virginia, 23504. And I have been a resident of Norfolk all my entire life. I'm here tonight as an individual with a disability to ask you to continue to support the Independent Center. In the 11 years I have been attending the Independent Center, and I have participated in the advocacy group and the news team, facilitated 2 disability support groups, participant outings in the community, and the mental awareness needs group. And within the last year, I have become a board member there. The Independent Center is a great resource to the disability community. It provides a place for people with disabilities to come and get help in whatever challenges they may be facing, whether it be a housing issue, work-related, transportation, or just general support. The Independent Center is there to assist us as needed. Please continue to support the Independent Center so that they may maintain the services and the assistance provided to Norfolk residents with disabilities. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Kelly Gonzalez, followed by Deborah Griggs.
Council members, Mayor Frame, Mr. Jones, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm also representing the Independent Center. My name is Kelly Gonzalez. I'd like to thank you all for 29 years of funding to the Independent Center. Because of the support from Norfolk and other localities, the Independent Center has been able to provide services to more than 1,000 individuals with disabilities and their families just in the last year. Our participants are young and old, from the age of 6 months old to 98 years young, and a majority of the people that we serve are from Norfolk. The Independent Center is one of 15 centers for independent living in the state of Virginia. Our center provides services to cities and counties in Southampton Roads. We are a unique service organization because our agency is consumer-directed, with the majority of staff and board members being people with disabilities themselves. The Independent Center uses a peer mentoring approach where the person with disabilities is in control of the services they receive, and the Independent Center staff just serves as a buoy to help them build the self-confidence they need and determination to become their own self-advocate. We help people obtain information on the resources they need to live independent lives and learn to advocate for needs that are not being met. The Independent Center also works with housing providers and housing coalitions to ensure that a stock of accessible housing options is available for those people who need it. We provide Social Security benefits counseling and help people with disabilities return to and maintain employment. Our center reaches out to the deaf and hard of hearing community and helps these individuals access technological tools that will help them communicate independently, whether it's over the phone, in person, or over the internet. Most importantly, we help people transition out of institutional settings, like nursing homes, into real homes in the community. We provide families with information and supports to prevent sending their family members to a nursing center, and also help families build support networks within, so that when they're ready to return home, they can do so safely. In the last year, the Independent Center was actually acknowledged for helping more people move out of nursing homes successfully than any other independent living center in the state. We provide community education and outreach to businesses, local governments, and organizations to help build understanding of accessibility requirements and the needs of the disability community. We're actively engaged in systems advocacy to ensure that progress towards full inclusion of people with disabilities continues, and to help break down the attitudinal and physical barriers that still exist in our community. In the last year, we completed more than 1,800 hours of community services and education activities. We'd ask you to please continue to support ECI so that we can continue our important work with the disability community in Norfolk and throughout Hampton Roads. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah Griggs, followed by Nell Armstrong.
My name is Deborah Griggs, and I live at 111 South Arden Circle here in Norfolk. Thank you very much for this opportunity to have a voice in the budget process. I appreciate your time. I come and ask that you fully implement Councilman Andy Protogirou's budget request to achieve at least a 90% save rate at our city animal shelter. I ask you to take the necessary steps to end the killing of homeless dogs and cats at our public shelter, not just because it's the right thing to do morally, but because to do otherwise is a gross waste of taxpayer dollars. In 2011, Norfolk Animal Care Center sheltered 5,673 dogs and cats, and we killed 2,643 of them at a cost of approximately $200 per animal, just over $500,000. In fact, over the last 12 years, we have consistently spent $500,000, $600,000, even $700,000 in single years on animals we've sheltered and then killed, which equates to millions of taxpayer dollars wasted and lives. No less than 9 jurisdictions in Virginia have ended the killing of healthy, treatable animals simply by vigorously implementing the programs of the no-kill equation, and all but one of those jurisdictions spend less than we do per animal. It's time for us to replicate those successes and start saving the lives of animals in our shelter as well as taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Nell Armstrong, followed by Ramon Colorado.
Good evening. I'm Nell Armstrong, and I live at 1220 Spotswood Avenue in Norfolk. And I'd certainly like to welcome Mr. Wynn and Ms. Williams after last night's election. I'm here tonight to ask that you also fully implement Councilman Annie Protegioro's budget request to achieve the 90% save rate at our city animal shelter. 1,423 animals were surrendered by their owners and cared for at our city shelter last year. At a cost of about $200 each, the taxpayers in Norfolk spent about $250,000 to care for these owner-surrendered animals. Here's a great budget idea and aid to this save rate. Pet retention programs. These would produce significant cost savings to our city. While some animal surrenders are unavoidable, many are preventable. Preventable surrenders would include owners who are maybe frustrated by a dog who barks too much or a cat that won't use its litter box. Our shelter should help the people with advice and assistance to keep their pets. If more of our citizens use our shelter as a place for such guidance and assistance, pet retention will increase. Examples of such assistance from our shelter would include maybe having a shelter library on pet care or having behavior handout sheets at the shelters as well as on their website. Using the newspaper or Civic League websites or even radio spots to disseminate information about correctable pet behaviors are also possible. A pet retention program could include volunteers to offer free in-home problem solving and low-cost dog training. Such information and services might even make landlords more pet-friendly for any number of their tenants. In any case, if we keep the large number of owned pets out of the shelter, we will spend less money sheltering and caring or euthanizing these surrendered pets. So please let's keep our families intact and keep our pets in their homes and improve the shelter save rate and save us some money. What a deal. Thank you.
Thank you. Simone Colorado, hope I said that right. There you go. Followed by Jean Linneman.
Good evening, members of council and the public. My name is Ramon Colorado. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Norfolk. Two of you have been up here since I was in high school in the mid-'80s. Now, what I'm calling about, what I want to speak about is the budget.
Is that a good thing or bad?
And I want to find out about the police, or I want to speak on the police and school budgets. First priority, I think, is the school budget, above and beyond people's pets, animals, cats, the children, human children that we need for our economy, our society, our military, our engineering, our science, you name it, exploration, you name it. Let's put the focus on human beings. That's my first point. The second point is the police budget. During my arrest this weekend, I managed to talk to some of the police officers and asked them some concerns, because as a former deputy and former teacher, I have concerns about the community. And I asked them, what kind of things were you going? They're telling us they're not getting the support they need, and that the city council is not giving them support, and that there's some disconnect between the upper level management and supervisors in the police department and the communication between the city council. Just an example of some of the hostility that the police have towards the city council is when I went down to talk to the gentleman from the Internal Affairs Division, one of the sergeants there, I said, hey, if I could convince a city council member to come in with me and back me up on this investigation, would you let me do it? No, a city council member will not be allowed in my investigation room. Exactly like that. Okay, this is the hostility that seems to be exuding from the city council and between the police department. One more point, I think we should prioritize at least half of the city budget to projects outside the downtown Norfolk Central Business District. Overwhelmingly, even on the maps that I pulled up that I requested from the information office, about 70 to 80% of the projects, that's not including the budget, of the projects are all within about a 1 square mile area in downtown Norfolk. And that's all I have to say. Thank you. Congratulations on the winners. Congratulations to some of the losers. We'll see you in a couple years.
Dean Linneman, followed by Sarah Gay.
My name is Jean Linneman. I live at 1432 West Princess Anne Road in Norfolk. Mayor Frame and my council members, I respectfully ask that you fully implement Andy Protegiro's budget request to achieve a 90% or better save rate for animals at our city shelter. 965 dogs and 1,678 cats that were sheltered at the Norfolk Animal Care Center were euthanized last year. That means 1/2 of the shelter's $1 million budget is spent on animals that are ultimately killed. Let me mention just 3 ways to reduce costs and save lives. 1, the shelter needs a strong and robust foster care program. The open admission shelter in Charlottesville fosters between 1,500 and 1,600 animals per year. Our city shelter has a goal of just fostering 350 animals this year. A vigorous foster program will get the animals out of the shelter faster, quicker, and alive. 2, the shelter needs to actively work with other rescue and shelter partners. 155 dogs and cats were transferred last year to rescues. Why does it seem that our city, our shelter, prefers to euthanize dogs and cats rather than work with established rescue programs such as Rescue Wagon? 3, the shelter needs a comprehensive adoption program. If having the event Kitty Palooza last year was so successful, why not have a similar adoption event every Saturday at different locations throughout the city, such as Town Point Park, Ocean View, ODU, Ward's Corner, and even the Navy base? We need to stop hiding on Sabre Road and get our homeless dogs and cats out into the community. So, Mayor Frame and City Council members, please stop spending $200 per animal to ultimately kill them. Let's begin now to work and strive to save 90% of our homeless dogs and cats. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Gay, followed by Bob Vitek.
Good evening, and thanks for having us here. My name is Sarah Gay, and I live at 3125 Illinois Avenue in Norfolk. Mayor Frame and City Council members, I ask also that you fully implement Councilman Andy Protegiro's budget request to achieve a 90% save rate at our animal shelter. Last year, 471 feral cats were killed at our city animal shelter. Euthanizing feral cats doesn't solve the overpopulation issue. Rather, it creates a vacuum effect that encourages new cats to flock to the vacated area left behind by the cats that were eradicated. Surviving cats will breed, and their descendants will be more cautious around humans and therefore harder to capture. Euthanizing feral cats yields no positive or beneficial return. TNR, or trap-neuter return, is the only humane, responsible method of managing and caring for our free-roaming and feral cat populations. TNR is the process of humanely trapping feral cats, having them spayed or neutered and vaccinated for rabies, and then returning them to their colonies where they can live out their lives under the watchful eye of a citizen caretaker like me. Through TNR, feral cats can live out their lives naturally without adding to the homeless cat population. Every feral cat that comes into the Norfolk shelter is killed at a cost of around $200 per cat. In a successful TNR program, these cats never end up in our shelters, so there are no housing costs for them. Last year, the 471 feral cats that were killed cost the city over $94,000. A feral cat can be altered, ear-tipped, and vaccinated at the Norfolk SPCA for around $50. So those 471 cats could have only cost the city a little under $24,000 under the auspices of a good TNR program. Mayor Frame and City Council members, please stop spending taxpayer money to needlessly euthanize every feral cat that comes into our shelter, and please work to implement a successful TNR program in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vitek. Followed by Melissa Burrows.
My name's Robert Vitek. I live at 8588 Margaret Avenue. And good evening, Mayor Frame, council members, and city staff. The reason I'm here this evening is to ask you, and I've had to change my wording based on some good news that I received a little earlier this evening. So I'm here this evening to ask you that you utilize the stormwater management portion of the budget to support Councilman Protogiro's request for dredging needed to support Mason Creek, the restoration of Mason Creek. There are elements of the stormwater management mission statement as shown on the budget. Elements of the mission statement and goals are actually requirements of the city's VPDS permit, which dates back to 2001. They're unsatisfied requirements. As authorized by the Clean Water Act, the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, which is the VPDS permitting system in Virginia, controls water pollution by regulating point sources that discharge pollutants into waters of the United States, such as Mason Creek. Point sources are discrete conveyances, such as pipes or man-made ditches. Nearly 130 of such pipes and ditches are used by Norfolk to direct stormwater and sediment into Mason Creek. And as a result of that, Mason Creek has been lost as a boatable, swimmable, fishable natural resource that it once was. And I mean lost, and you could see evidence of that if any of you saw Andy Fox's report several months ago when the creek had lost the 6 inches or so of water that was covering the sediment that has filled the creek. But excuse me, thanks to the efforts again of Councilman Protogiro, Mason Creek is included in the city's flood mitigation study, and there's no question that a dredged Mason Creek will provide a greater capacity for receiving stormwater. However, the primary obligation to dredge the accumulated silt is to restore the creek itself. The city's stormwater consultant, and the one I'm speaking of is HR Storm, recommends that you budget for dredging retention basins every 5 to 15 years. Mason Creek is 60 years overdue for dredging. Councilman Protogiro understands this well and has specifically asked that you budget for Mason Creek dredging in 2013. Another issue that's associated with the budget is the $1 per month increase in residential stormwater rates for addressing future pollution prevention initiatives. The application of TMDL requirements to Mason Creek without dredging is like placing a smoke alarm in a house that's already burned to the ground. I am one of the approximately 9,000 stormwater customers in the Mason Creek drainage basin that are already paying the highest stormwater rates in Hampton Roads. Unfortunately for me and other customers who happen to live along Mason Creek, we're paying to have everyone else's stormwater emptied into our backyards. This frequent trespass of stormwater has caused significant property damage, and in conjunction with selective misapplication of wetlands regulations could be judged to constitute an aggressive taking of private property. I'd like to point out that in today's Virginian Pilot, the editors published an article about how successful so many of the rivers and estuaries around here, how successfully they are being cleaned up. Masons Creek is not mentioned in there, and I think if you look into it, you'll see why it really is. It's an environmental disaster, and it really is a problem for the residents. It's not like these other places.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. President, but if I could, I have to take leave if I may. Bob, Mr. Vitek is a commissioner of which commission? The Environmental Commission? And he's appointed Environmental Commission. We've appointed him, so just as part of his qualifications. I have to leave if I may.
Go right ahead. Do you have any more fans out here maybe who might like to come up?
I'm sorry.
Melissa Burrows, followed by Phillip Hawkins.
Good evening, Melissa Burrows, 2324 Wharton Court. Mayor Frame, Council, Mr. Jones, I too extend my congratulations to Councilwoman Williams and Councilman Wynn on your wins last night. I am here, you've heard many impassioned speakers tonight about many very weighty subjects. I here represent the Tidewater Anglers Club. We are in support of Mr. Jones' request to restore public access to Lake Whitehurst. Tidewater's Anglers Club is the oldest of the anglers clubs. We support this replacement of the boat ramp and the parking. Virginia lost one of its finest freshwater fishing lakes and recreational opportunities when the ramp and parking were closed due to the expiration of the land lease from the Norfolk Airport Authority. That dealt a severe blow to Tidewater anglers and other users of the lake. Lake Whitehurst has drawn fishermen from as far away as Richmond, many surrounding cities and counties. Lake Whitehurst was known for largemouth bass, crappie, white perch, walleye, and very nice catfish. The Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries stopped stocking the lake with walleye upon the closing, and thus we lost one of the consistently rated second best walleye lakes in the state. Further, the Tidewater Anglers Club representatives have spoken with Joint Expeditionary Base, Little Creek, and Fort Story, the Welfare and Recreation Department, concerning Lake Whitehurst. The Joint Expeditionary Base noted that their boat rental decreased quite notably as a result of the ramp's closure. They are looking forward to, as we understand, its availability for being reopened to support the quality of life for our active duty residents and retirees. So in closing, we encourage all of you to support the city manager's budget request to reestablish public access to Lake Whitehurst through the funding and construction of the proposed boat ramp and parking area. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Hawkins, followed by Jane Bethel.
Good evening, Mayor Frame, members of council, City Manager Jones. My name is Phillip Hawkins Jr. I reside at 3597 Mississippi Avenue in the Ingleside community. Tonight, I am here to speak on many different levels. First of all, I'm going to speak on behalf of the Ingleside Civic League as the Civic League president. I would like to thank the city administration for responding. The Civic League, through their request, we submitted a list of capital improvement needs to the city at the end of March, and I have been communicating with Mr. Kiefer regarding those items, and they're in reference to this current fiscal budget that we're planning to adopt. In areas of neighborhood infrastructure replacements, also the recreation center, and the new gymnasium that is in progress of being completed in January of 2013, the Ingleside Elementary School, and also the commercial areas that surround our community. I would like to point out, I would like to say thank you. I noticed in the budget proposed that the hours are going to be restored for the recreation center, so I do appreciate that because we need to have our centers open not just in two parts of the city, in Norview and Lambert's Point, when we have children all across Norfolk who need other opportunities for organized recreation within walking distance of their neighborhoods. And so I want to thank you for that. However, I do want to ask, on behalf of the Civic League, we meet every month on the third Thursday at the Ingleside Recreation Center, and we're rushing in to get there. Originally, our meeting was scheduled for 7 o'clock before I became president. We had to restructure our hours when the budgets were cut 3 years ago to try to accommodate the hours of the rec center. And of course, I'm sure you've received complaints because we go over 8 o'clock almost every month because most citizens are getting off from work. They have to go home first and get their families together before they come out at 6:30. We had moved our time up, but we need to have the original Civic League hours restored so that we can continue to encourage civic involvement and engagement in our civic associations. So I am respectfully asking that if no other night, the third Thursday of every month that Ingleside can stay until 8:30. Like the other centers, I think Lambert's Point and Norview, they have hours to 8:30. I would like to ask that that can be put in the budget or whatever it needs to be done so that can accommodate our residents so they will not, stop participating in the Civic League activities. Also, I would like to ask, there is some type of fee associated with the facility use. And of course, if we're partnering with Civic Leagues, we should not be charging Civic Leagues just to use the facility to help support the work of the city. So I'm asking that all fees, including the application fee, be waived for Civic Leagues. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm also speaking on behalf of the schools. Of course, I'm a school teacher. I work at Berkeley Campostella, pre-K. And I would like to say that while we are funding what the school board requested, we do need to go much further because our students need us. This is about the kids. It's not about us as adults, but we have to think about they're going to be our replacement generation. And if we don't invest in their future today, what will our future look like? We need to start looking at that. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Jane Bethel, followed by Myron Forrest.
Good evening, Mayor Frame, honorable council members, City Manager Marcus Jones. My name is Jane Bethel, and I live at 5632 Brandon Boulevard in Virginia Beach. I'm speaking to you, first of all, tonight as the chairperson of the Employee Relations Committee, the administrative unit. I want to say congratulations to Councilman Wynn and to Councilwoman Williams on your re-election to City Council. In the last 15 months, employees have seen a lot of positive changes in Norfolk, and I want to note some of them tonight and say thank you. After 4 years without any pay increase, the City of Norfolk employees are getting a 2% raise. Thank you. After there has not been the need for a reduction in force this year, and thank you for that. After a lot of speeches to City Council and a lot of emails to raise awareness of workplace bullying, employees now have 5 new policies that offer some protection from bullying, harassment, and retaliation. Thank you. I bring many employee complaints to the attention of management, and I am especially grateful for the anti-retaliation policy, which states, and I quote, "No employee should be retaliated against in any manner as a result of his or her making a good faith complaint, raising a concern, providing information, or otherwise assisting in an investigation or proceeding regarding any conduct that he or she reasonably believes to be in violation of any City of Norfolk policy, applicable law, rule, or regulation," end quote. The preceding comments were made as the chairperson of the administrative unit. Now I'd like to switch my hats and put on my hat as president of NAGE Local 200. And I would like to talk about employees and improved pay and benefits. The union asked for a 4% raise for everyone and stressed that we felt it was important to treat all public employees the same. While we are grateful for the 2% raise, we feel the city can do better and ask that you increase that 2% to at least 3% across the board for all general employees, public safety, teachers, and retirees. I thank you, Councilman Riddick, for making that suggestion, and I hope that you'll seriously consider that. The union also asked for payroll deductions for union dues, a right given to other public employee organizations such as the teachers union. Actually, I'm wearing their shirt tonight, so I'm in support with my brothers and sisters in the teachers union. Local 200 asked that general employee union members be given the same benefit of access to discounted AFLAC insurance that the public safety union members were provided. Our employee union asked that we be allowed to post information about NAGE Local 200 on employee bulletin boards to peacefully solicit membership in the union, as allowed for in Virginia's right to work law. In conclusion, the union will continue to fight for fair and equitable treatment of employees and the fair and equitable application of city policy for all employees as allowed for in city policy. On a personal note, I have worked to try and bring hostile work environments, bullying, fraud, and waste of taxpayer dollars to management's attention prior to lengthy, drawn-out, and costly grievance processes. For my good faith efforts to blow the whistle on bullying, unethical behaviors, harassment, and all the above-mentioned abuses, I was given a written reprimand after 22.5 years of service. I will be using the new policies, especially the anti-retaliation policy, in my own defense. So for the new policies, again, I thank you.
Thank you. Myron Forrest, followed by Mark Hensel.
Good evening. My name is Myron Forrest. We want to appreciate the 2% raise that y'all may give us, but I want to get to the point. We need more, really, and I'm not trying to sound greedy, nothing like that there, but, you know, we got families that lost homes, families that had problems within themselves because they don't make enough money. We shorthanded, you know, we're doing the best that we can to make everybody look good as well as you all. We need more equipment, you know, and I think it's a kind of a shame when, you know, you put 30 years in, you know, and you call yourself retired when you have to get another job, you know, because you just can't make ends meet with whatever you're giving us, you know. This money, you know, we know you can find more, so reach into some kind of other situation that try to find something, you know, to help us out, because we feel like, you know, we're just being slapped around, really. And I appreciate you, you know, finding something to give us, though. Don't get me wrong. But we're losing a lot of family members. You know, our wives are leaving us, husbands are leaving wives. We're having problems because we just don't have that money to support our families, you know. I hope neither one of y'all have to go home and try to explain to your wife or kids or something that, you know, we just can't pay this here bill. Your water may be cut off. That's a problem, you know. Look out for us. You know, we work hard for you, you know, and I appreciate it. Give us 5%, you know. Find something, you know. And like I told you before, this is not my first time speaking, but if you need some help balancing this budget or whatever, you know, make room for me, because I'll find a way. I can tell you better than I can show you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Hensel. Mark Hensel. Jeff Roberts. Followed by Philip Gillette. With a J. That's not with a J. Okay. Jeff, Mr. Roberts.
Right. I'm Jeff Roberts. I live at 9327 Beaumont Street. I'm also the CEO of Norfolk SPCA. I want to talk to you for a moment this evening regarding not asking for more money, just asking for the City Council to look at holding our animal control facility to looking at ways we can save more animal lives. another speaker has mentioned, the trap, neuter, release program. That can make a 10% difference in the lives of animals we save. We run a no-kill shelter, and with limited admission, the city shelter takes in every animal that's presented to them. But the Portsmouth Humane Society is also a animal control facility, and they save over 77% of their animals. Norfolk averages 50 to 55%. With programs that the city council can consider doing, like approving a trap, neuter, release ordinance, and requiring the animal care center to have goals that they reach. In looking at your budgets, you've got short-term objectives, long-term goals, and measures. I don't see any of those for the Norfolk Animal Care Center, and without the council requiring them to be more progressive and holding them accountable, I don't see the changes will be made. The trap, neuter, release program, if the city approves a program or an ordinance that would allow that, we, as the Norfolk SBC, will be going after funding to help reduce the price for the city to have animals spayed and neutered. Funding is available to help lower the cost of the city for those animals. There's almost 500 animals that are euthanized because they're feral. These animals could be saved and maintained in colonies. There is all types of independent research that has been done on these colonies that we'll be glad to provide the city council members to help them feel comfortable with taking this kind of measure. We're all about the animals, and there's 2,400 or 2,600 animals last year. A lot of them can be saved just with a little more support from the council to require our animal control people and animal care people to do more for the animals in the city. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Gillette, followed by Linda Stokes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Manager and Council. My name is Phillip Gillette. I live at 5410 Westover Avenue, Apartment A5, Norfolk, 23507. I came down tonight because I want our city to prosper. I want to know more about how our city is faring, and wanted to hear what people are saying. I didn't know what I was going to talk about particularly, but when I came, but as somebody who's tried to keep informed about the debate that is going on in various sectors of our city, and having attended some of the earlier budget hearings, I have formed some opinions, and I just kind of maybe I'm going to offer two support for two ideas that have already come up. I think first of all, I would like to say that I do believe I've had experience with our Norfolk Public Library system, and I'm well aware that it really provides a tremendous resource for people who are not at the upper end of the pay scale necessarily, can't afford to go out and buy all their own books and stuff like that. Having a library open longer is important. Having places that, for example, that have computers as well. I mean, I know the specific requests have been for books and for more open hours, and I really appreciate all of that. And I really believe you have to have robust collections to support the kind of vibrant population that we would want to attract and retain as our citizens. So I want to support that. And the other really is our public schools. There's been too much negative publicity in the newspapers for us to be complacent about it. And I do appreciate the efforts that have been made to fund the public schools as best they can. But I would hope the City Council will try a little harder. I really believe so heartedly, agreeing with Mr. Husted, who said that money spent for our schools is money spent for our future, and so I wanted to. That's the second, and finally, not many people up here have suggested where you can get more resources to fund these projects. But I'm sure you'll be looking at every possible way you can save it. It may be that there's something you can cut back, and I'm not in on the inner thinking of the city leadership, but there's been some information kicking around that the bus transfer station, which is cited to get $4 million, may be have to be put off for further study of the Harbor Park area. Now that $4 million might be a start. I know it's important to spend that money on the transfer station sometime, but if it's not going to be spent the next fiscal year, maybe that could be applied to such priorities as I've mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda Stokes, followed by Glenn Jones.
Good evening. My name is Linda Stokes. I live at 1467 East Tanners Creek Drive here in Norfolk, Virginia. I am a product of Norfolk Public Schools, proudly. When I came out of the schools in the 60s, Norfolk was the leader in education. And I didn't worry about where I was going to work or if I was going to go out of the country and be able to work, because I knew I was well educated. Norfolk Public Schools today, though, I can't say the same thing. I want to compliment everybody and thank everybody for funding the school board budget for now. But as I was looking at their budget, I saw that they have reduced full-time equivalent staff by 548 positions over the past 2 years, and they are going to reduce it for this fiscal 2013 year, 135 more positions. And I'm wondering, well, if you've cut 683 people, who's in the classroom? Who's in the classroom? Who's in the buildings? Who's doing the work? I can see 683 people missing, and we still get quality education. Norfolk Public Schools, nationally recognized, globally competitive. I wonder, because I found out that in China, the iPhone is not made in the United States because they want engineers working on it, and China has the biggest number of engineers. Mind-boggling, because I'm wondering, how are they educated? And if you go to China and purchase anything in China, you're paying pennies. But yet, every person that works on an iPhone is an engineer. How is it that we can't say that about our people, our workers? And I was also looking at the Virginia Business Magazine one day, just flipping through it, and I saw a tuition sampler. Do you know how much it costs to educate a high school student in some of Virginia private schools? I'll just pick the one here, Norfolk Academy, $20,500. That's to educate a high school student at Norfolk Academy. How much does it cost to educate a Norfolk Public School high school student? $9,000. $9,000. Isn't that wonderful? We save over almost $8,000, $9,000 in our public schools. But yet, those coming out of private schools are the same competitor. They fighting over the same jobs. They're going to be available for the same jobs that our people are. And which one would you take?
Thank you. Glenn Jones, followed by Harold Molohan.
Good evening, Mayor Frame, Vice Mayor Burfoot, City Manager Marcus Jones, as well as the Honorable rest of the City Council. My name is Reverend Glenn Jones. I stand before you knowing that you have fully funded the school board, but also knowing that the budget that is presented with the fully funding is also due that on back some time ago. Actually, they're getting something over like $3 million extra on their budget. But I stand to you before on the cause of the African American males and females that are in our schools. The African American male has dropped tremendously in our city of Norfolk. The African American female, as much as she wants to go to school, has been condensed, predecessed, and held down because of backgrounds and family living. Mr. Smeagol can agree with me. We have African American females bringing their babies to school. Am I right, Mr. Smeagol? Don't say anything, I know. But our schools that are African Americans are failing. We need to do something to overextend this budget to help these families. I'm for all kids, and I believe all kids deserve an education. But the African American is lacking. They're lacking in a lot of things that are happening in these programs. They've been lacked in the communities like Park Place by the closure of the Boys and Girls Club. They've been lacked in Huntersville by the things to do. They're lacked in a lot of places. It's amazing how the other day I was looking at a city council meeting and find that 37th in drug use, no drug things in our city. It's amazing some of the things I'm finding. And I found out this morning that the United States is down the bottom of the list, just under the United Kingdom. Under all those other countries, we're way down the list. The African American male is falling. What are we going to do to save them? What programs have we initiated in our school? I talked with Michael Spencer, and we kind of narrowed it down to, it starts with us, the parent, a lot of the families. But I asked this one question. What program have you actually initiated to get to know the things that are actually happening in the African American families, in the African American communities? In our African American communities, yes, strides have been made for success. But there's a long, long way to go. Our jails are filled up with our African Americans, young men who should be in school. Our corrective schools are filled up with our African American male and young women who should be in regular school. What are we actually doing when we do this budget? Are we considering what is happening in all our communities? I know we want the best for everyone in our city, but I'm tired, and I'm really tired of every time I turn on the TV, I find someone that looks just like me having problems, going to jail, getting murdered. It's time that we do something to help. I have here, and I'm about to finish, I have here a program that I presented to Mr. Spencer on Monday. He thought it was outstanding. I did not put it for all 8. I put it for the people that I thought this would concern. That is Honorable Councilman Riddick, Honorable Vice Mayor Burfoot, our city manager, and I illustriously put one together for the Honorable Councilman Wynn since he was so elaborate about parent involvement during his campaign. I would ask that you would accept these city managers and allow that the other city councilmen get this, because our African American families and culture in our communities, we need help desperately. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Molohan, and if there's another speaker, this is the last slip of paper I have. Okay.
Good evening. I'm Harold Molohan, retired City of Norfolk firefighter. I live in the Bayview section of Norfolk. The gentleman that spoke to retirement issues voiced my concerns. I'll defer comment tonight, allowing others to present their issues. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, that concludes the list of folks who have signed up to speak. If you would like to speak, if you'll give us your name and address, please. But this is there anyone else? Okay, thank you.
How you doing, Mr. Mayor? My name is Marcus Powell. I reside at 2514 Maltby Avenue, and I thank you for allowing me to speak. But before I start, I'm going to reverse this way.
No, Mr. Powell, we're going to listen to you. This is your opportunity to speak to the city council.
Okay, what I would like to start out with, first of all, is to ask the people in the audience to look to their left and to their right. We're here talking about our budget for the city of Norfolk, and the auditorium is empty. So if we want to get the city council to listen to our issues, first of all, we need to get together and organize ourselves when we come to council. I mean, this is kind of sad when you look around and you see how empty this is. We have a lot of important issues with students, education, the funding. You guys are doing your job, but we're failing. My opinion, I think we should, let me slow down because I'm kind of nervous. We have a lot of businesses here in the Norfolk area. We need to start having partnerships. That's the way we can save this budget and get additional funding. I work for Lockheed Martin, and there's a lot of funding that they will provide to our local schools. We need to start getting partnerships with businesses and not just asking the city for money. We got BAE Systems, we got Northrop Grumman, we got Booz Allen Hamilton. We have a plethora of companies here in Norfolk that can assist the city in providing funding to get our education and get our students better prepared for the workforce. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the list of folks who have signed up to address the council this evening's public hearing. I want to thank everybody for coming down. We are certainly going to take all of your comments under consideration. Thanks very much. We'll stand adjourned. I don't know what else I'm not going to do anymore.